So it says we are live on YouTube.
Okay, thanks. Okay, welcome everyone. We're ready to start our meeting. So welcome to our public who might be with us, our staff, our visitors, and our council. So welcome to everybody. I'm going to open this meeting February 1st, 2022. It's 6 p.m. or shortly after. As we've opened the meeting now, if we can ask everyone to please have a moment of silence. Thank you, everyone. I have a first motion here, was moved by Karen Jennings and seconded by Ian Straight. The regular meeting of council agenda dated February the 1st, 2022 be approved as circulated. All in favor? And that is carried. Thank you. Now I'll also remind all of council that if you do have any disclosure of interest, you can declare it now or anytime during the meeting. Next motion, it was moved by Ian Straight and seconded by Klaus Vandermeer that the minutes of the special meeting of January 13th, 2022, regular meeting of January 18th, 2022, and special meeting of January 20th, 2022 be approved as circulated. All in favor? Okay, thank you. And I believe I'm not seeing you on the screen, Jeff. Yeah, I don't see.
It looks like we might have lost Jeff. I'm just gonna give him a call, see where he is.
Did you get him, Christy?
He just said he lost his internet connection. So, and then he just lost his phone connection. So just give me one more moment.
Okay.
I didn't get a hold of him there. So, oh. Okay, so he's just going to be connecting in.
Okay, thanks, Christy. I see he's connecting.
Sorry, guys. Doing the best I can here. My internet actually went out, so I'm trying to do it on my cell network right now. So I apologize for that. It did happen earlier today, and I called my internet company. They said they don't know that something happened, and it came back up a couple hours ago, and now it seems to got out again. My apologies on that.
Okay, no worries, Jeff. So Jeff, we just approved the minutes of January 13th, 18th, and January 20th. We approved those minutes already. And I'm just going to now ask if there's any business arising from any of those minutes. Okay, seeing none, then we're going to move on. Thanks everybody for that. Now we're going to go to our delegations, and we have none tonight, but we have several reports. And the first report is on the Montague renovation and addition plan. And we do have, I think, 3 people here to help us. So welcome to you, Chun and Devin and Emily. And you are here to present this from the IBI group. We appreciate all the work that you've done. So welcome to our meeting and to our screen. And I'm going to now hand this over to you first, Chun, and you can go through your report. I'm not sure if if you wanted to possibly stop after certain specific sections to ask if there's any, and then I can ask if there's any questions, rather than maybe taking one at a time. So I'll give this meeting part of it over to you. So welcome and thanks for coming.
Okay, thank you everyone. Today, I came from IBI architect, and Devin will represent all the disciplines of the engineer to give some presentation from the engineer perspective. So shall I share from my screen, or Christy, you share from?
I think it would be good if you can, or maybe Christy can help us there, but that would be great if it can be shared on the screen.
Yeah, Chun, you can go ahead and share screen.
All right, thank you.
We can see it now.
All right, great. This presentation is extract from our report, final report, right? And just we highlighted the most important part and put it in disciplines, different disciplines, and to give a brief presentation. We came from IBI group, and we work together with Greater Galloway Engineering to taking care of structure, mechanical, and electrical review and preliminary concept design brief. And also we have Cambium Engineering to investigate for the existing septic system and the water system. Also, they also taking care of the materials in the existing building for the testing. I just try to give a brief for the existing condition. For on site, we have you can see from the site plan, we have admin building together with fire hall right now in one building, and another public garage in the center of the site. Our work mostly focus on these 2 buildings. I put list here some brief for the existing deficiency of the building. mostly we were required to evaluate from the architectural design point of view for the existing building. Is one thing is the accessibility, barrier free, right? That's mostly focused on the admin office building. And another item we were required to evaluate is the functional space, because considering current staff and the equipment we have, and also in the near future, in the long term, we need, we were required to help out the township to organize the space and also evaluate the existing and foresee the future use to plan the adequate space. That's the major two tasks from architectural point of view. And later I will let Devin to explain from the engineer point for the energy saving part. And yeah, with this task, we evaluate for the particularly for the admin office building for the accessibility. We found out, you know, quite some space, like for example, the doors, the corridors, and the entry vestibules, the space is not adequate to meet accessibility and barrier-free requirement. Other than the accessibility, and the major task is for the programming, helping programming for the future new building. And we consulted with a township manager and like Andrew and Stephen and Emil, fire chief Emil, and we after on-site review the existing building and interview with them, right, and to learn what they need and what the working condition and their everyday you know, life, and like the staffs, numbers of the staffs currently working in the facility and in this office. We may picture the future building can meet their current use, also considering the future expansion. So we listed in our programming stage, we listed all the rooms existing and also future expected space based on the actual need. And we end up, you can see for each building, we have some increase for the square footage. And this is based on the some of the room, existing room. For example, like the kitchen and the dining space is too small and not adequate for serving the existing staff, right? And they in certain level and increase the space. And also this overall increase came from some missing functional room in the existing building, like the file room and dedicated vault room, something like that, right? And end up we increase the for each functional building, we increase the certain square footage. This one is demonstrated for the admin office, and for fire hall, we have required, you know, to build a new adequate space for serving fire hall, and to leave existing fire hall space for future expansion of the office space. We can see from the programming chart, there is quite increasing for the overall square footage for fire hall. That came from the requirement for the existing and future increased fire trucks need adequate space to park all of them. A public garage is we got a similar practice and to considering existing equipment and trucks and also future increasing. We made the make a square footage overall first, and then based on all these room space and square footage, we started our concept design to end up the later you can see the our concept plan. Like this one is the future admin office, which occupy the existing admin office plus the existing fire hall space. And we can see also that we leave the second level for of the existing office right now used for fire hall boarding room. This room we left for a future, development or for the storage space because of the nature of the admin office require fully accessible and barrier free. And considering the ground level, we have enough space for the future needs, and you can see there is also 2 fire truck bay on the south end of the building we left for the future development. There is which means existing and near future use, considering the staff provided us the information is already being met, the requirement already being met using the rest of the space. Proposed public garage and fire hall, we integrated together into one building. That's also considering the nature of these 2 buildings. Lots of servicing space can be shared, like a shower and changing room, for example. The parking spot, we exactly follow the actual need for existing truck number, and also a future potentially will buy some more equipment. So we follow the data direction directed by the public work manager, and we designed this section of the building to serve public garage. Same thing for the fire hall, and you can see there is a certain of the space we actually can be shared with both sides, and there is entry and the corridor connected both sides, and to share certain of the functional space. For the 5 double depth bay parking bay is also considering the existing truck, and the near future potential will buy some more truck, and more of the equipment can be stored and parked inside the garage. And there is to the west end of the building, there is a washing bay, can be shared for both fire hall and the public garage to wash the truck properly. Yeah, and considering the size of the building, we sort of throw the idea, especially for the larger building, this can be faced during the construction. That really depends on the funding, right? And also considering the timing. right, of the construction. The good thing is during the construction of this new building, existing admin office and existing fire hall can be still used during the construction, right? And also even the existing public garage can be still used if we face this construction properly, right? And also depends on the funds, and we can, for example, the very west end parking, the washing bay, and also the additional parking bay, right? If based on the actual funding, we can reduce the number of the bay, right? To provide the flexibility for either for the final building, and or or provide the flexibility for the actual construction timing and the phase, right? And after all the new building being finalized, and the new fire hall to be put into use, and the existing admin office and fire hall can be converted to the future admin office. So there is a, that means if we plan well, is either for the construction phase or construction for the timing and the funding, there is our plan, we leave for a township full of the flexibility, can eventually make a decision, based on the funding and the timing. And there is further can be discussed. Next I will pass to Devin to give a short brief for the energy modeling. This part is also quite I know there's a township is quite eager to get, especially for the existing admin office conversion, try to get a 30% reduction for energy consumption for the new for the future new renovation.
Okay, do you want me to share my screen? Or
okay, sure, you can.
Control.
Sure, you can. You want to share from your stand?
Yeah, I'm just getting to it here.
We can see it now, Devin?
Okay. You can see the full presentation screen.
No,
okay.
Yeah.
So, yes, thank you for having us tonight. My name's Devin Lake. I'm with Greer Galloway Consulting Engineers in Kingston. I'm the project manager for the engineering on this project, and I'm a mechanical engineer by trade. So I'm going to speak to all the work we did, which was energy modeling, mechanical, electrical, and structural recommendations and design recommendations. So energy modeling, we were tasked with trying to find ways to improve energy efficiency of the existing building after the renovations by 30% compared to its energy use today. So we were provided utilities, electrical, propane, and oil. All three are used at the current facility. And we used those numbers to come up with baseline energy use based on known construction and some assumptions. So the known construction, insulation values, window values, that sort of thing, and the existing equipment, HVAC equipment efficiencies. So we started with the baseline energy usage in 2019 of 157,000 equivalent kilowatt hours. So that's the combination. We just convert propane, oil to kilowatt hours so that we can all make a similar comparison, a baseline comparison. And then we didn't look at all the possible energy efficiency upgrades that the building could receive. We had no issue getting to 30%. We could certainly explore more, and I will kind of discuss that as we go through the HVAC options. But so you'll see in the first row of the table that upgrade 0 is nothing. That's the baseline. That's where we're at today, or as of 2019 numbers we were using. So the first upgrade we're showing there is simply what Sean has already talked about in terms of new walls, infilling existing bay doors in what is now the fire hall, increasing some ceiling insulation, increasing some wall insulation. Those improvements alone represent a 10.3% reduction in energy. The second upgrade we looked at was just increasing the insulation in all roofs to R60. So it's an attic. They're truss roof systems, so there's lots of attic space there to add blow-in cellulose insulation. So you can see right here we're getting 31.5%. So between the two minor changes to the building envelope, we're seeing over the 30% increase that we were looking for. So it points to how kind of poor, or how old the building is. I shouldn't say poor, how old it is, to how limited the insulation is compared to what we do today. Upgrade number 3 represents just increasing the efficiency of the equipment up to about as efficient as we can get today with gas-fired equipment at 96%, and then increasing the efficiency of the ERV. That's another 6.5%. So that's another place where there is potential for further upgrades, whether you can find higher efficient ERVs, energy recovery ventilator is what that is. It's similar to a HRV that a lot of people would have in their homes. And then, we could look at electric air source heat pumps that are becoming more popular and are getting better designed for our climate here now than they were a number of years ago. So they're becoming more prevalent. So that would be a place that you could increase that reduction more. Upgrade number 4 is just new windows and doors, another almost 17%. And then the last upgrade is decreased lighting power allowances to the ASHRAE 90.1 energy standard that we designed to today. So that would be essentially going to LED lighting, and that's another 11%. So overall, molded together, it's a 38.3% reduction. And apologize, I didn't put this together, so the numbers don't add up. So I'm not 100% sure how my energy modeler decided to do the percent reductions, and then the model together, they should add up to more than 30%. But
yeah, Devin, excuse me, because I was going to ask you that question. Like the upgrade numbers from 1 to 5 are all they're all upgrades, right?
That's right. So I
And
don't
you
know.
said your number 6 there is all of the upgrades together. So were they not considering some of these as upgrades, or why the difference there? Or do you
Yeah,
think
like,
that's just a mistake, or what?
I think it could be one of two things. It's either a mistake, but I remember when he told me the results, they weren't like much greater than the 38% we're showing there. So I think those numbers might be cumulative, and then they've changed the order of the upgrade. So you might have at first had the first upgrade as 6.5%, then added the next one, which brought it up to 10.3, and then or something like that, that eventually it got to 38%. I apologize.
Yeah, we could just have to red flag this, I guess, for now then.
Yeah, so we could provide a follow-up with clarification on this slide.
Okay.
But ultimately in our discussions, it was really the insulation upgrades we knew could get us to the 30%, and then everything else is bonus, which is nice because insulation and sealing and air leakage and stuff like that is, your cheapest upgrades on a capital cost point of view. Windows and doors start to become some of your more expensive upgrades, and obviously your HVAC equipment too. So when it gets time to make these improvements, there may not be a massive capital cost associated with achieving the goals of the municipality on the energy efficiency front. And then in terms of the new building, we were just asked to comply with the current energy standards. So there was no energy model done to demonstrate what that would be. It would be just to building code. So and so here's just a chart of how the energy usage is over the season. So obviously we're a heating dominated climate, so you see a higher energy usage in the heating time of year, and then it decreases in the summer months. So our, because of the insulation values make the biggest improvements on the ends, the extremes during the colder weather. Electrically, our electrical engineer reviewed the site. We'll start with some existing deficiencies that will have to be corrected. On the incoming service, there was a missing splice cap on the line, which could cause shorts. Panel A2, this is the existing building. Panel A2 is protected by a 200 amp breaker, but the panel itself is only rated for 125 amps. The next slide talks about recommendations. The generator manual transfer switch has been damaged by a fire truck. So it's possible that other electric could be damaged in the same manner. So those things would need to be rectified. Electrical bonding for the main distribution relies on metallic conduits and enclosures. This is code compliant, but not best practices. So I'm going to switch to the next slide and stay on the administrative business building. So it's required to fix that splice because it is a safety issue. For the panel that is only 125 amp rated, but protected by a 200 amp circuit, it needs to either have a new 125 amp overcurrent protection device to protect it, or you could alternatively switch it out with a new 200 amp panel. So the administrative building should have all panel loads removed, or should have all panel loads confirmed and remove any unnecessary circuits. This is talking about now during construction, not related to deficiencies, and relocate all electrical equipment inside to the proposed new mechanical room that John showed in his plan. It is also suggested that any equipment involved with the site services, so the main, the meter and the main switch, not be relocated into the new mechanical electrical room due to the substantial capital cost involved in such work. And revise emergency light and exit signing. As of right now, it is code compliant, but obviously as when a new floor plan is being done by the architect, the emergency lighting and exit signs will have to be changed to suit. Some additional upgrades the client could consider would be replace all lights, interior and exterior, to LED. So that's something we showed in the energy model, the effect that would have. And install lighting and power controls following ASHRAE 90.1 and SB 10 guidelines. So again, ASHRAE 90.1 is the energy standard that we typically design to, and SB 10 is the energy requirements from the Ontario Building Code. So that's the section of the building code that regulates energy efficiency. Going back to the deficiencies that the Public Works building. I apologize. Everybody's screen is in front of my presentation here. The site generator produces three-phase 208 power, but the site is only provided single phase 240 volts. So that can potentially cause wear on motors and other electrical devices that are only receiving 208 volts rather than 240 volts while operating on emergency power. So that's one thing to look at. The site equipment is, the site equipment is rated for 240 and can operate at the 208. However, the case of electric heating devices can only supply about 75% of their rated power. The main disconnect for this building has a neutral bonded to ground. This is not code compliant. And the conduit that runs down the exterior west wall of the building, providing power to structures south of the site, has been damaged. So requirements to fix some of these deficiencies are, again, perform a load calculation of the entire site to determine if a site service increase is necessary. This would also be to support the construction of the new Public Works and Fire Hall building. Upgrade the current emergency generator with a new propane one paired with an automatic transfer switch. So right now it's a manual transfer switch, so somebody has to be there at a power outing and go flip the switch. We're recommending an automatic one. Recommending to upgrade the generator because of the one issue I already mentioned, that it produces 208. It produces three-phase and only one phase is being used at 208 volts rather than 240 volts that the building uses and what your current service is. And also the age of the generator is quite old. And it's also diesel, so propane is a little bit cleaner fuel than the diesel. Not that it should be running very often to have much of an effect on your greenhouse gas emission. The third point is to ensure that the building can operate on current electrical infrastructure until the new mechanical electrical room is constructed. This relates to the phase construction. The new electrical room is located in another phase than the first phase. So that's in phase 2, I believe. So, so that will be something to consider. It is suggested that any equipment involved with the site service entrance not be relocated. Sorry, I went back this line. Be required to add new pole mounted site lighting to accommodate the new building and the new site layout. replace conduit that houses that feed to the building south of the current public works garage. As was mentioned previously, it's been damaged, so it's a safety hazard. Follow the Ontario Electrical Standards Code, otherwise known as the Electrical Code, for all design requirements for power distribution in the new building. Follow the Ontario Building Code for all new lighting requirements in the new building. So that would be the energy standard that we've talked about prior. Upgrades for the client to consider is given this building's dedicated service, instead of sharing with the rest of the site. Right now, the service comes into the one building and is shared among the two and other outbuildings. So this would provide the opportunity to separate billing. And you could also consider installing a net metered solar system on the roof of the new building to meet some of your energy efficiency goals. Any questions on the electrical before I move on to the mechanical?
If someone wants to ask a question, they'll have to just speak up, because I can't see the screen. I can't see everyone. Unless you want to just flip back to the screen there so we can see everyone. But do I hear any questions? Okay, I think you can go on then, Devin, to the mechanical.
Okay. So mechanical, laid out the same way. We're going to talk about the deficiencies and administrative fire hall building. The HRV, the existing HRV's fresh air intake was found to be completely blocked. So obviously this creates, in the age of COVID, a concern that you're not getting any fresh air into the building and not getting ventilation to help the air exchanges and indoor air quality. The fire hall furnace has been damaged and is not operating. The fire hall furnace was found to be outdated and not high efficient. The building suffers from low water pressure during heavy times of use. And then the public works building, exhaust ventilation to control vehicle emissions was not operating. It was a safety issue. People breathing in the carbon monoxide and the NOx emissions and other VOCs. So the furnace was found to be outdated and not high efficiency. The domestic water supply system and components are undersized for planned construction, and the sanitary system is undersized for planned construction. So in terms of the existing building and the renovations that IBI has presented, we've looked at the building and thought it makes sense to kind of consider it in 3 zones. Zone 1 is the administrative area, less the council chambers and a meeting room and the upstairs. We separated out Zone 2, those specific areas, because their current systems aren't necessarily adequate for the increased occupant load that those spaces will have. So you need more ventilation air than what can be provided now. That's one reason. The second reason is that they can have very different loads than the rest of the building. Council chambers can be heavily loaded at times and then unoccupied largely. Same with meeting rooms. They're often heavily occupied and then not occupied. So it's nice for them to have their own system. And so for Zone 1, the administrative area, the recommendation is not to change anything other than some minor duct modifications for any layout changes. That recommendation is because the equipment is currently of a higher efficiency. It's not that old, so it's not really scheduled for replacement. And the other options we looked at, such as either new systems or relocating it into one of the new mechanical rooms, would require extensive duct modifications, whereas by retaining it, you can essentially keep everything. So it's So it's a low capital cost with not much upside to moving the equipment other than freeing up some space where it is now. Zone 2, we're recommending a propane fired 3-ton split AC system, furnace system with split AC, and an ERV with demand control ventilation. So what that is the furnace and the air conditioning is a lot just like you would have in your home, where the furnace is located in the building with your air conditioner sitting outside with refrigerant lines connecting the two to provide your heating and your cooling. ERV, again, is an energy recovery ventilator. So it recovers both heat, temperature from the exhaust flow during winter, but it also recovers moisture, which is nice in the winter, like the weather we've been experiencing. It keeps it from getting too dry or your relative humidity dropping too low. And then the other option that we provided is demand control ventilation. We typically recommend this in spaces like council chambers or meeting rooms, places that are going to have varying loads of people, going from none to quite a few. What this does is it measures the carbon dioxide levels of the room. And as they go up, because people are in there respirating, the amount of fresh air that is being brought in by the unit increases to control the indoor air quality. That this allows for lower ventilation rates when nobody's in there, and it's a big energy savings rather than ventilating a room that's got nobody in it, because you have to heat or cool that outdoor air depending on the season. Zone 3 is currently, the furnace is not functional, and then there's radiant tube heaters, which are not appropriate for what will be the new use of office space. And so we would again propose another furnace located in the new mechanical room with an air conditioner and a heat recovery or energy recovery ventilator to provide your required ventilation air. For the public works garage, again, we've separated into zones both to reflect different uses, but also to reflect the phasing that Chun presented. Starting in zone 1, starting on the left is a vehicle wash bay. And then zone 2 is is that the public works? No, that's the fire hall bays. So in general, and then I will also talk at the same time about zone 5, which is the vehicle bays. So in general, vehicle bays have doors opening and closing frequently, which means any cooled air or heated air escapes every time the door is open. So it's expensive and energy intensive to heat the air. So systems better suited to that use as radiant systems, which is a surface to surface type heat. You don't necessarily heat the air, you're heating the surfaces. So for those areas, zones 1, 2, and 5, we reviewed or analyzed in-floor radiant heat and propane radiant tube heaters. And our recommendation for those 3 zones, similar uses, are all propane radiant tube heaters. This is they both have their pros and cons. In-floor heating is more expensive up front, but it's also not as expandable to match with the phasing requirements of this building. It also is a slow to respond system due to the high thermal mass of the slab. During shoulder seasons like the fall and winter, it's not necessarily the best system unless it's coupled with other systems like the propane radiant tube heaters anyway. So that would be our recommendation. Zone 3 is the administrative, or the northern or the top portion of the building. We're recommending a rooftop unit here. We've recommended a heat pump unit with auxiliary electric heat and ERV. There's really no difference in terms of construction to a rooftop heat pump than a rooftop gas-fired, propane-fired unit. So you could easily take this recommendation and go with propane heat pump with ERV on the roof to service the spaces. But we're recommending both for zone 4 and 5, the heat pump, in keeping with your municipalities' look on energy efficiency. They are more energy efficient and produce less greenhouse gas emissions. So structural, there was some deficiencies found in the administrative fire hall building. The exterior review showed the need to reparge the foundation in several areas to protect the CMU from water infiltration. So that's CMU's a concrete masonry unit. So your cinder block is another term people often use. Structural curbs supporting the columns of the porch roof for the front entrance show signs of degradation, as well as slight undermining of the curb, leading to insufficient bearing. Insufficient bearing is a safety concern. The roof of the administration building has been experienced significant water damage leaking. This could affect the walls as well, depending on the path of travel once the infiltration occurs. The public works building, work such as parging of pillars and repointing a mortar on the building's exterior to be done to extend the life of the structural components. There are some superficial damage to the floor. So the proposed upgrades with the construction of the administration, the renovation of the administration and fire hall is to reparch the walls, foundation where required, address porch columns by introducing non-shrink grout between the curbs until such a time that they can be removed and replaced with a new cast in place curbs. Follow through with the already planned roof replacement of the administrative building, and retain a structural engineer for any new planned windows or doors in the existing CMU walls. The construction of the administrative and fire hall building is the fire hall. The exterior walls are concrete block wall, where as you move into the administrative area, they are lumber with walls. So proposed upgrades for the public works. The proposed new fire hall and public works garage building can be designed with conventional or pre-engineered steel framing for the superstructure, and conventional pad and pier foundation would be the foundation. Of course, this is all pending a geotechnical investigation as once if the project progresses to design level. The phase construction will require consideration during the design phase, but should not have an impact on the overall performance of the building. The existing structure to remain does complicate the construction of adjacent phases, and it may be more cost effective to remove and replace at the end of the project. Just to speak a little bit more on the structure, the first bullet point talks about how it could be conventional or pre-engineered steel framing. It's probably recommended in our report, it's recommended to go pre-engineered steel framing, conventional, not pre-engineered, due to the phasing and it being more flexible to accommodate the phasing, but both are possible. the concern with maintaining the existing structure that is there is with differential movement and the adequacy of the existing foundation and structure to support new structure is one concern. Another concern with keeping a portion of the building would be just age. It would be much older than the new building, which means it would require more maintenance and upkeep than the new building, and it would require replacement at an earlier time than the new building. So there are some of the things I wanted to highlight from the report that aren't in the slides here. And then cost, Chan, do you want to jump back in on the cost?
Sure. I will talk a little bit the cost. And after a conversation with township manager, and we went back to the cost consultant to refine the estimate a little bit more, because of thinking about the construction will not taking in place immediately, right? And considering the timing, maybe in the next 1 or 2 years to gradually doing this job. So considering all these factors, the cost consultant bumped up a little bit overall numbers. We give a better vision of the overall construction cost. We try to break down in the follow our phase that project. We gave a separate part of the building value, right? And like the lighter indigo's color and that 5 million eventually cost consultant gave the update. The final estimate is like 6.3 million for the entire lighter indigo part, right? And the extra those 2 parking bay for the fair hall plus washing bay, that's overall is still like 1.1 million. The entire existing admin plus existing fire hall conversion job to future admin office will end up the cost consultant gave the estimate is 780,000 eventually, right? And that's give you a overall cost estimate based on our concept, and also considering the time, right? And you will not start immediately considering the every year there is maybe the increasing for the construction cost. Yeah, in the near future, let's say in the near future, if you finalize this overall construction, that you will looking for the total number, like eventually the final cost estimate shows. Yeah, I shared with Andrew and Stephen, I believe, the final report. Yeah. Yeah, and also Bill, I want to interject to talk a little bit for that energy saving for that modeling you concerned. You questioned the overall not add up. You know, you can think like this way. If your current building is very poor insulated, and your equipment is not that much efficiency, right? And you increase the like Devin's that chart showing you increase the roof insulation, right? Make it very well insulated. Immediately you will see the energy saving 30% something, right? And every single piece you do it based on your current poor insulated condition, they will provide you certain of the increase of energy efficiency and reduce your energy consumption. But if you do them all, you won't get all of this percentage add up. That's very easy to understand. It's like you very well insulated your building right now. Before your furnace running almost 20 hours, 22 hours a day, right? Keep running. Right now, you insulated very well your building right now. Even you have still use less energy efficiency furnace, but because of the very well insulated building, almost like a passive house, let's imagine, right? And you won't need that many heating per day, maybe just run 2 hours a day, right? Your furnace right now maybe just run 2 hours per day. So at this time, if you still upgrade from a 80% efficiency furnace to a 90% efficiency furnace, right? At this moment, you won't see that much increase of efficiency, or you can't see that much reduction of energy consumption anymore, right? Because of the house condition improved a lot. Your furnace won't run that much, right? Comparing before 20 hours. Doesn't matter which furnace you use, they need to run 20 hours to providing you certain heat, right, for your room. And if you increase from 80% of efficiency furnace to a 90% efficiency furnace, you will see immediate reduction of the energy consumption, right? And but for your very well insulated house, you won't see that much anymore. So that's why, and every strategy being combined won't give you the add up, right? You will see that 38% something, right? But at this also, I want to add this. Some of the improvement, or to say changes, is inevitable, right? Like we pointed out, some doors you have too narrow, not accessible, right? You will need to change anyway, right? So that's you can't avoid to changing them. So once you change them, of course, increase the U value and make a better performance door to there, right? So that all doesn't necessary to use all the strategy, but I just wanted to point out some of them you cannot avoid, right? You cannot just only increase, let's say, the roof insulation, right? Some of the other things you still need to do. Yeah, that's it.
Okay. So I think, Chun, if we can maybe go back to the to our other screen without the report, and then I'm going to open it up for some questions. Thank you. Okay, first off is Claus, and then Ian.
Thank you, Reeve and Chung and Devin. Thanks very much for your report. It's amazing reading, I can tell you that. It's very interesting. I just have a quick question, and then I'll let someone else ask a question because I do have several. Chung, I'm just wondering, the council chambers, you're only increasing it by 50 square feet. Is there a particular reason why, or is it you can't do more than 50, or?
Yeah, that's we definitely can increase more, but all these numbers we just based on the requirement after we interviewing the township staff. That's the minimum we do the increasing, right? And to meet their current goal. So end up you see the future conversion from the fair hall. There's still additional space can be used, right? And if that being said, if we want to increasing some of functional space size, there is still possibility. But what I'm saying is just based on that chart, that was after consulting with the township manager and the staff, we get those numbers. So based on those numbers, we increase. That's just minimum minimum we have to do that to sort of meet our township requirement, right? And of course, if we have the opportunity or the extra space, definitely we can increase more.
Okay, thank you.
Ian? Yes,
Yeah, thank you
Ian?
very much. Reed. Thank you very much, Chun, Devin, and the team that's done all this work. I was just wondering, my first thing, and maybe actually this is probably for Andrew. The study was to do a cost comparison as well between the 22 acres and the existing site. Is that correct?
Yeah, so part of the feasibility study was to look at the option between the 22 acres and this site. And in the larger report, there is some more information on that. What we're looking at tonight is a summary, so there is more detail than what we've just seen now in the,
Okay, so
the overall report, and it gives a SWOT analysis between those options.
oh, okay, all right. So
Chun's team has given us that as well.
okay, so there was an analysis or comparison done between the 22 acres and the existing property, and it came up that it's cheaper to modify the existing piece of property versus the 22 acres, I guess.
Yeah, that's the initial finding that's being shown to council here now.
All right, I like the same as what Claus is. I have a series of questions here in regards to maybe this. Chun, I was just wondering if you could answer for me. What size is the building, the fire hall, and the public works building? How big is that? Like, what's the footprint?
I have the I just have the drawing here. I will give you let me see if I can share with them. Yeah.
So, Ian, do you just mean the fire hall, or are you talking with fire hall administration?
Well, no, just the fire hall and the public works.
Okay,
I guess, and the reason why I'm asking that is, and the old public works building still exists in the new envelope, right? And it looks like it's at the very back corner. Correct me if I'm wrong. And that the new addition would extend out towards the highway. Is that correct?
Yes. Yes.
So I'm just wondering how far out that goes. Does that cut away all those nice, great big trees that are in the front yard and all those nice things that are there? So does that have to leave?
The strategy is we try to maximum use the existing, so reduce the cost, right? So that's why you see the seating of the new building we based on the current public work garage location and expand out, right? So that that will be I just quickly checked. There will be close to 25,000 square feet overall for including the existing public garage building.
So
That will
1,000 square feet.
sorry, what did you say, Ian?
So 25,000, just correct me if I'm wrong, Chun, is the square footage.
yeah.
So I guess my question is, if we were to take the building and move it over to the left so that we could move it back so we didn't have to take down all those nice maple trees and everything like that, would it fit on the site property?
Yeah, that's a opportunity, but you know what we are practicing right now is just based on the existing building, try to maximum reuse and also integrate together with the existing building, you know, to try to maximum reduce the construction cost. Of course, there is a flexibility to even build separate of the two buildings, right? And to, or like you said, slightly shifting to one location of the on-site. That's all the possibility. And also we also need to consider the setback to the property line of the new building, right? To provide adequate setback on the driveway to reach the rear side of the building, because right now the new garage, as we required, is like a double depth and drive-through type of thing, right?
Okay, so I think I know, Ian, you've got several questions and Claude has several questions. And I haven't seen any other hands up yet. So maybe what I'll do is I'll go back and forth between you and Claude. And so Ian, you can ask your next one, then I'll go to Claude, okay?
All right, so Chun, as you go from phase 1 through phase 2, all the phases, now phase 1 incorporates all the office buildings for the fire hall and the public works. And then there's a separation wall there between phase 2 and phase 3. The phase 2 between phase 2 and phase 3, is that supposed to be an open concept design, or will there be a wall in between that?
There will be a this phase is just based on ideally, you know, it's still build all together. That will be ideal, right? But we just we just throw this out is for the possibility, right? And there is we leave this possibility to sort of build, you know, on phase. But if really put into practice to build on phase, we need to give a second look to them, right? And if there, like your question, if there is a wall, no, that also depends on. We will expand pretty quickly after this phase, or you know, there is no next phase anymore, right? Or at least in the foreseeable future, there's no next phase anymore. So you know, that's really depends on the future plan. You know, we can adjust this building, but overall the building size is like a big pie there, right? And we can, based on the actual funding or you know the timing, to give some more massage for this plan to cut off some part, or really we have to deal with in phase, and after one phase, maybe certain of the year to carry on the next phase. So we will need to look another detailed plan to how to cut it off.
Okay, so thanks. Back to you then, Claude, and then to Ian if there's no one else.
Okay, thanks, Reeve. On the point that Councillor Straight made with your proposal and the drawing here, I see that you're going to be extending out from the existing public works garage. I think you're going to be hitting some of those trees, just from my perspective, and that would be a bit of a public concern. My question is, John, is that can the existing garage structure stand this kind of addition onto it?
This one I don't know, you can see from the our satellite photo. There is also quite a space on the south side of the garage, right? And if really we can expand, we can also thinking about expand to the south side. You know, currently there is a small two space garage floating there, right? And in that space, if that as I remember, that garage was parked antique fire truck there, right? If that small building can be sort of relocated, and we have also the possibility to expand from current public garage to the south side.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
That's also a possibility. And again, there's really it's really end up to the money things, right? And this one we just provide you the most. It's doable, right? First thing is doable, and also secondly is we think is the most cost efficient way to do it, right? And as you pointed out, if you much concern for the trees and for, also I don't know you went through the final report or not. The structural engineer also pointed out, if possible, definitely can rebuild take down the entire existing public garage to build a new building, right? More solid and integrated together. That will be nicer. But I mean, that definitely you will put in more money in, right? That's also, if that's the goal, really doesn't really matter for the exact location, right? It can be shifted a little bit here or there, that's more flexibility. But again, we just right now throw out this idea, overall the pie, you need this big to meet your township goal, right? And in terms of how to make this pie, and today make how big, tomorrow make how big, that really depends on your preference and the funding and the timing, and also like you said, the trees, and if you want to, that's just a compromise, right? If we want to save here, we need to spend more here, right? That's the old opportunity, right? That's possible.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, back to you, Ian, please.
Yeah, Chun, thank you very much. With your current concept, what is the estimated lifespan of the building upgrades that you're talking about?
We were told these requirement, all this space, size, and equipment, we were told that's just at least in the future 50 years, I think, right? I as I remember, Andrew, correct me if I'm wrong, and I think that's based on the at least 50 years perspective of the use.
Yeah, that's right. The township was looking for its needs for the very long term, so that once those buildings are in place, it would be a long-term commitment for the township and have space to grow. So it's like we don't want it to be just like adding on one more bay and then in 5 years realizing we can't park a fire truck again because it's too small. So we've definitely gone with a nice long-term outlook there to maximize the value in the investment.
Yeah, which I definitely agree with. That's the model I would personally prefer. I guess my question is the utilization of the current public works building and the utilization of the existing administrative building and some of the structural deficiencies, potential rot issues, roofing, all those other things that go along with a building that's already 50 years old. Do we have enough upgrades into your plan right now to ensure that it's going to last another 50 years, I guess is my question.
Yeah, that's also out by the in the report, right? And the structural engineer. So that's why considering all these factors, there's definitely still the possibility to reuse the existing there, but it need some profound upgrade for the existing building, right? And if the funding is available, definitely we can rebuild in together for the new building. That also preferable considering the long-term run, right? But again, we just throw here is the possibility, we considering the requirement and the future use. This can be a option most of cost efficiency and also considering the future use. And of course, there is a certain of the compromise here and there, right? And but if we eventually decide, you know, to, for example, leave the tree there, or just you know, make a more integrated building, we may take down the existing garage and to rebuild, right? And also for the current the main buildings and fire hall, we, after our pre-fund review for the existing building, there is in quite a sound condition, right? And for of course, we proposed certain of the upgrade and renovation here and there, and it's a lot place need to upgrade it, right? And also I want to know you, I want to point it out is for the sustainable development, right? You cannot expect today you build a building and it will last you another 100 years. That's not going to happen, right? You will keep investing on the maintenance. We just, it doesn't matter you renovate, bring this existing building up to the current standard, or you tear it down to build a new one. In the long-term run, you still need to keep, you know, keep investing on maintenance and keep it up to the best condition, right? That's why that can be give you the extended life cycle to use these buildings, right? And not never happen, you know, just throw money once and in the next 100 years and won't, you know, won't need to do anything. That's not going to happen, right?
Yeah, I definitely understand that.
Okay, so I'll pause your next back to you.
Yeah, just a quick question for Chung, if you may, Reeve, thank you. On the energy model than that, had you considered solar panels at all?
Let Devin, I don't think we consider this part, right, Devin?
Well, solar panels don't, like, they wouldn't affect your energy model in terms of your energy usage. It would just be, you know, subtracted from your energy usage. So we didn't do a solar model to look at what the site's solar availability is and what you could extract from that site. No.
Okay, thanks, Devin.
Ian?
Yeah, Devin, you mentioned about the energy savings, and you were great to change that into kilowatt hours for us, depending on what it was, propane, oil, whatever it might be at the end of the day. What is that energy savings like annually in dollars and cents?
Oh, I'd have to get back to you on that. It depends on we break it down into terms for oil and for propane, and then so yeah, I don't have that information off the top of my head, but I could ask my energy modeler if you want me to follow up tomorrow.
It's always interesting to know how much money you're putting out, what your return on your investment is.
Yeah, I mean, it also requires like forecasting future energy prices and carbon pricing and stuff like that. But,
yeah, exactly.
So,
okay, do I see any other questions then?
Yeah, just
go ahead, Ian.
And this might have been, Chung, this might be in the other full report, which I don't have a copy to. Maybe if Andrew could send that out to council, that'd be great, so we could read it. The well report, I know there's questions in regards to the well, and its usability, et cetera, et cetera.
Yeah, we shared that report in the previous condition review report. The current well condition is quite okay after the engineer testing and spent the whole day. And either the amount and also the water quality and both quite good, I think. It's but they did point out need some filtration system to add it in to the water, right, and to make it much preferable to drink or to use. But generally speaking, and the quality and the quantity, all good. Yeah.
Okay, all right, perfect. That's so the water is fixable then.
Yeah.
Is the end of the story. The Deputy Reeve Vandermeer did touch base on the solar system stuff. You had mentioned in there some considerable stuff to bring up. Versus, I think the average lifespan for a solar panel is roughly around 20 years and needs replacement. Would it be better to have a free, since we have a little bit larger site, would it maybe more beneficial to have a freestanding solar array versus one that sits on the roof that causes, well, first of all, causes extra money in the structure, because the structure has to be able to take the added weight. And then not only that, maintenance and all those other great things that have to go with it, and ease of access, et cetera. Yeah, no.
So
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit if it was directed towards me. So
okay, you go ahead, Devin. I think so. Ian's question is more, like a ground mount as opposed to a roof mount.
Yeah, so you bring up some good points. Solar panels, I think, are rated for their performance for 20 years. They have a longer life than that, and can be upwards of 50 some years, but their output does drop. And I'm not a solar expert, so I can't speak to whether that's improved in recent years or what. But then on the other side, when you do have a roof mounted equipment of any kind, you do have to consider maintenance when you have to replace the roof, which you're getting, John would know better than me, but maybe 15, 20 years out of a roof system. So yes, you would have additional obstacles with this whole roof mounted solar system when you do comes time to do maintenance on the roof. So there are benefits to it being ground mounted and with that respect.
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah.
Yes, Ian.
Yeah, I think that Deputy Reeve also mentioned this already a little bit, but in the layout for the admin building, there's a lot of office space in there. It'd be nice to have it, in my opinion anyway, kind of shuffled. It'd be really nice to have the boardroom and the council chambers right next to each other with a dividable wall. It doesn't happen very often since I've been on council that we've needed that extra space, but it would really be nice to have that available space if need be at some point in time. There's a contentious issue or something that's big going on within the within the township. So it'd be nice to be able to take those two spaces, make them into one, and have adequate space for enough people to get into the township to be able to be seen, heard, or see council. That's just one of my opinions. The other thing is, I think that I think it's BBD&E or Drummond North Elms. I can't remember which one it was I was in, but they have a very nice new building. When you go in, the reception area is very open. It's very welcoming. It's kind of like when you enter into the county. Reeve and Deputy Reeve would understand, and it's very opening and inviting for the people. I think that would be something that I would like to see, a little bit nicer area for the reception people, that kind of stuff. Just as we're doing some planning.
Yeah, and I agree with what you're saying there, Ian, about a boardroom. Like, that was going to be one of my questions. I had several questions, but you guys have got most of the answers. But one of them was going to be like, what is the purpose of having two rooms, like one a chamber and one the boardroom? Like, a boardroom is for board meetings, I guess, and obviously, and so why can't a board meeting be in a chamber? I guess that was my main question. Anyways, we've answered. We've already had the question, so it's certainly something that we could be thinking about. Okay, and I think maybe Claus, you had another.
Done, Ian?
Yeah,
Sorry.
no, I think I just
Yeah.
want to say thank you to Chun and Devin and your team again. I know you guys have put a lot of work into this and everything, and it's great that we get to see it. And I'm sure that there'll be some more questions and more debate about it to coming up in the short term here. Thanks again.
Okay, did you have another question then, Claus?
Yeah, just a question and a suggestion, and I have a question for Andrew. John, you had mentioned before that there is flexibility in making certain areas a little bigger and so forth. I'd like you to concentrate or all of us concentrate on the clerk administrator's office to be a little larger, for the simple fact of being able to have a meeting in her room, or his room, sorry, at the same time. It's a little, I think it's a little small. I didn't get a total square footage of it, but it appeared to be a little bit small. Thank you. Andrew, just a question. Are we getting a comparison on a new building versus the renovation?
I think based on this concept, the way that Chun's presented it, it comes down to basically the question is whether that original Public Works building will be integrated into the Public Works Fire Hall, or whether it will be decided by council prior to construction to take that out of there completely and do full new construction. I think that's the main cost. And then the admin building and old fire hall, I think the only way to really follow, proceed with that would be a renovation versus starting from scratch. That's the way I see this presentation, unless Chun has more to add. But and then I think that important thing to remember too is this is the next step, but it's also a concept. So a final architectural construction shovel-ready plan, I think, would follow still, and would refine some of those office spaces and boardroom concerns at that next step as well. So
I'm just thinking down the road with the 22 acres that if we did something there, it would start the ball rolling for future expansion on other projects we've talked about. And I do have a bit of a concern in spending millions of dollars on an old building, because I know it's amazing what you guys have done in the renovations and fix this and fix that and so forth, but you still have an old building. Second question, Andrew, and I don't need to comment on it. It's just my personal comment. Is there green energy grants available for this type of project, or renovation grants, or what is there out there?
right, and that is probably key. Part of this feasibility study that we're looking at right now is has been gotten the Green Municipal Fund is supporting part of the cost of this study. And our hope really is that we can follow up with that same Green Municipal Fund with this report and hopefully qualify or attempt to get more support through it for what we would like to do next. So that's where the value in this study also comes from, is going back to them and with the energy savings that we can find here, and seeing what additional support they will give us as we continue.
Great. And my closing comment to Chung and Devin, thank you very much, gentlemen. You've done an amazing job. It's a very interesting reading. I've enjoyed it. Thank you.
Okay, and Jeff, did I see your hand? Yes.
Thank you, Reeve. Yeah, also thank you, Chung, and thank you, Devin. Great information, and it was very handy. Kudos to Ian and Claus. You pretty well nailed off all the questions that I had as I was sitting there, so that's fantastic. And I agree with, on that side note too as well, I like the idea of the boardroom and the council chambers. I had that written down too, as well as having a combination there too as well. And I understand this is conceptual. And I think that's those are all great that we're going to be able to discuss as we kind of get into this too as well. The one question I still had though was the roof of the new fire hall / public works building. As we're looking at that, is that basically the sort of the same old idea of the flat roofs? And if it is a flat roof, is there also like a thought process of a different type of roof that might actually have a better longevity? I always go to steel roofs or peak steel roofs. Is that an option in a building like that, or is a flat roof the best way to go even over the years too as well?
Yeah, that's just currently a preliminary concept. We throughout there is the most cost efficiency solution, right? And I don't know, you see the concept for our 3-dimension view. I can share with that. In the middle of the building, we did design a higher like a 2-story level, right? And that part is not flat, and we can anticipate that part to be extended to use a second level even, right? And yeah, for this middle part, right? And that can be we on purpose to design is a little bit higher. One thing is break the long stripe of this boring building, right, and make it bring it more fun. And also we talk after the interview and the conversation with the city, with the township staff and the manager, and we want to leave the opportunity to increase the second level in the future, right? And after certain years, expansion of the staffs and also the more equipment, at least the second level can be used like either storage or future small office, right? Yeah.
Okay.
Very good. Yeah, I mean, it was interesting to see that. I guess there's more of the report that we could see too as well, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thank you. And once again, guys, thanks very much. This is a great beginning. So, yeah.
Okay, thanks to everyone, Ben. And I think that I really think overall now, like we've seen this report, and I think as far as one of the many next steps, I also think that council has to continue putting their heads together and making sure which direction we really do want to go, because it's been pointed out tonight and through this report that there's quite a few things wrong with many parts of the buildings. And so I think we have to continue thinking about that and keeping it at the, in our mind, whether we're renovating or going brand new. So I know we flip-flopped back and forth. We've spent a lot of time and energy and thought in that, but I think we still have to continue doing that. And I think it would be kind of nice to see an overall cost of brand new as opposed to what we're talking about. I'm just throwing that out as far as what I'm thinking as far as part of next steps. Did I see any other hands in? Yes, I see Ian and then Chung.
Ian first.
Go ahead, Ian.
Thanks, Chun. Just since I just saw the concept drawing, the new building proposed has a flat roof, like a membrane roof, or is that your?
Yeah, there's a very minor slope of if you can see from the it's almost flat, right? And it's like a membrane roof. We can laterly we can define it once we go into that stage. Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Okay, and Chun, you had another.
One more thing I want to add it in, Bill, is considering sustainability. Definitely tear down, rebuild. That sounds easy, right? But from a sustainable point of view, we should reuse, right? And continuous the life circle of the building can still functional, right? That's the most cost efficiency and also greenest solution, right? And of course, and what we did can be the most can be challenging, but cost efficiency and also thinking about other relocation or new building all can be easy, right? But keep in mind that this one give you certain of the money number, right? Any other easier solution can be bump up the numbers of the of this current cost. For example, like those admin office building, there is 60, I forgot the detail number, 60, around 60, 70, 6 or 7,000 square footage, right? And if we build exactly a new building for that, maybe you need not triple, but at least 2.5, time 2.5 of that cost, of that 700,000 right now only. Yeah.
Okay, thanks. Understandable. Thanks. All right, then we're going to move on to the rest of our meeting. So thanks to all of you for coming and presenting tonight and answering all our questions. And we'll look forward to moving on. And before you do go, we do have a motion here regarding this. This was moved by Claus Vandermeer and seconded by Jeff Carroll, that the council receive the following report. That's the Montague Renovation and Addition Plan Report, and that the following be approved, that council receive this report for information. All in favor? Okay, that's carried. Right, thank you very much, and we'll talk to you again.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye. Okay, going back to our agenda here, the next report of our municipal officers is going to be, well, it was Jasmine's report, but I believe you will be giving it, Andrew, and that's on the Pinery Hunt Club Road.
Yes, thank you. That's correct. So yeah, I'll be presenting the reports on the agenda this evening. They were written by Jasmine. So the first one is the report on Pinery Hunt Club Road. And the recommendation is that council file no objection to the Pinery Hunt Club trail closure. And in this report, we've noted that there was a legal opinion from the township solicitor, and we've attached a map with the area of township owned land. And the legal opinion has stated that the township does not have a clear legal reason to object to the closure of the trail, given that the township already has access through Cuckoo's Nest Road, and that the township also has potential access to the township-owned property through the unopened road allowance that runs up to the boundary road allowance. So our solicitors made it quite clear that that is the way the township would gain access is through that unopened road allowance if they decided to do so in the future. And also they've noted that the Pinery Hunt Club Trail is not a road under the Municipal Act, and that therefore the township does not have any ability to open or develop it in the future. So the option one that's recommended is to file no objection to this being done for the Pinery Hunt Club Road at this time.
Thanks, Andrew. Now, just a question to clarify something. When you mention going north from Boundary Road, do you mean going north from Pinery Road? I guess the reason I'm asking that question is because the reason I'm asking that question is because, as you said, the option there would be to come into our property that we do own by the Cuckoo's Nest Road. But that if you chose that option, then that means you're coming in through Beckwith into that property of ours. So back to the question of when you say Boundary Road, when you said going north from Boundary Road, I don't quite understand that.
Let's see here.
Because there is like an unopened road going north. I believe this is true from Pinery Road up to our property. I believe that's true, but I'm just checking.
Yeah, so the attachment with the map should illustrate that. And I do see it showing Pinery Road with the red line on it, and then an unopened road allowance that runs from Pinery all the way up across that, I would say that concession.
So when you said Boundary Road I don't quite understand that then is.
Yeah, I was basically just reading from the report at that point. Just what was in that report. I just read it verbatim. So.
Okay, but then I guess my question then I just want to know, like, if is Boundary Road, should it say Pinery Road?
Maybe I added the word north in there inadvertently as I was reading it. I can just read it again. It said the township also has potential access to the township owned property through the unopened road allowance that runs up to the boundary road allowance.
Yeah, I think that's probably more correct because,
okay,
it's just that when I hear Boundary Road, I think of the boundary road that goes north from Roger Stevens between Ottawa and Montague. And it goes all the way up to Beckwith and then turns left. And then you've got some people still call Boundary Road that road between Beckwith and Montague.
Okay.
If you were an old timer here, then you'd probably realize that.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, thanks. Any questions then? If not, we have a motion here. It was moved by Jeff Carroll and seconded by Karen Jennings that the council receive the Pioneer Hunt Club Road report and that the following be approved, that the council file no objection to the Pioneer Hunt Club trail closure. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. Thanks for that report then. We're moving on to the next one. It's going to be yours, Stephen. That's on the 4x4 update.
Yeah, thank you, Reed. I'll keep this short and sweet. So basically, we have had this report to council prior. It was advised to get some legal opinion. Staff reached out for legal. Our solicitor said that basically there is no grounds for anything to go after Mike Fairs, and the appropriate solution for them was to formally terminate the contract with a letter of default, which would be issued them and give them 10 days to accept it and to formally terminate this contract.
Okay, thank you. Seeing no questions, yes, I do see one. Claus.
Thank you, Reeve. Thanks very much, Steve. Unfortunate, but where do we go from here?
So as stated in the previous report there, basically the next step is send a letter default and then staff to proceed with, once budget's approved, to proceed with another tender for purchase of a truck.
Okay. Thank you.
Thanks. Okay, then this motion was moved by Karen Jennings, second by Ian Straight, that council received the following report, the 2022 Chevrolet half-ton purchase update, and that the following be approved, that council directs staff to send a written letter to Mike Fair Chevrolet terminating the contract. All in favor? Opposed? Nobody? All in favor then? I didn't see everybody's hand. I didn't, sorry. Okay, thanks. It's carried. Then moving on to our reports of the committees. And the first motion was moved by Ian Straight, second by Claus Vandermeer, that council approve the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting of January the 18th, 2022, and approve the recommendations contained within. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. Any business arising from those minutes? Seeing none. The next one on the agenda is the Recreation Committee. And I have a motion moved by Claus Vandermeer, second by Jeff Carroll, that the committee approve the minutes of the Montague Recreation Culture Committee of the whole meeting of November the 29th, 2021, and approve the recommendations contained within. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. We have a bylaw tonight. It was moved by Jeff Carroll and second by Karen Jennings, that bylaw 3882, 2022, being a bylaw to amend bylaw 3611, 2010, being a bylaw to establish and regulate a fire department, be read a first, second, and third time and passed, signed and sealed this first day of February 2022. All in favor? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. We have no petitions and no we did the bylaw, no motions and notices of motion. But we then have a, we have a motion here. It was moved by Ian Straight and seconded by Karen Jennings, that council directs staff to organize an information session either as part of a regular meeting or a special meeting to provide council and the public with information regarding the severance process in Montague. including but not limited to approval authority, required studies, pre-consultation processes, and follow-up or finalization of development. Any questions? All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And next is, we're going to the action item, the annual water distribution audit report. And we do have a motion here, but we don't have, yes, we do. Is Miles, would you like to speak to this?
Yes, I can, Reeve Dobson. So this is our annual inspection report from our ministry advisor that is done at the end of every year. And I'm just here if you have any questions on the report or are looking for any information from the report.
I see no questions, Miles. Oh, yes, Karen. Oh, you're muted, Karen. You're muted.
Sorry about that.
okay.
So this is a report and then it's just information for you to follow up on things that might need some amendments. That's correct?
That's correct. So there's best management practices that they would like us to improve on, which the public works manager and myself are working on improving on what they asked for. And there is some non-compliance issues that I have to deal with. And so we have a certain deadline by March 1st of 2022 to rectify all these deficiencies, which are best management practices is not a non-compliance. It's just what they recommend. So we feel we're going to get on top of that. And by March 1st, hopefully I have all the answers for them.
Thanks, Miles. Excellent.
Thanks, Karen. So I have a motion here moved by Claus Vandermeer, second by Jeff Carroll, that council receive the annual water distribution audit report for information. All in favor? Okay, that's carried. Thank you. Now, before we recess this meeting, do we have any questions from the public?
Just let me check real quick. I have no questions in my email or on our social medias.
Okay, and I don't think you do either, Andrew.
Just checking my email real quickly and I don't see anything there at this time.
Okay, thank you then. We have a motion moved by Jeff Carroll and second by Karen Jennings that council recess at 7:56. All in favor? That's carried. So we're going to take about a 2-minute break to change over, and we'll come back to our committee of the whole meeting. Thank you, everybody. I don't see you yet on the screen, Ian. Are you with us there, Ian?
There you go.
Yeah, my apologies, Reeve.
No problem. Okay, thanks to everybody then. We're going to go ahead and open our committee of the whole meeting for February the 1st, 2022. So welcome to everybody to this meeting. I also will remind everyone that if you have a disclosure of interest, you can declare it now or anytime during the meeting. We have a motion. It was moved by Karen Jennings and seconded by Ian Straight that the committee of the whole agenda dated February the 1st, 2022 be approved. All in favor? That's carried. Thank you. And next, we're going to, we have no delegate, we have no delegations tonight. And we're going to go straight into our reports of our municipal officers. And the first one is going to be for the line painting award, and that's yours, Steve. So on to you.
Thank you, Reeve. So tonight I've brought forward a report. Basically, Drummond, North Elmsley Township and Montague Township, we did a joint tender trying to get the best value for the township. Get the quantity higher so it's more enticing for contractors. I've provided all the results in table 1 in the report and the recommendations to go forward with provincial road markings who we've used for a couple of years now for $18,000. This value that they placed here is actually came in underneath what staff included in the first draft of the budget. I was expecting a bit higher. So I was pleased to see when we opened the tenders on the pricing we did get. This included a bit of increase in white line markings on Rosedale Road North and also on Rio River. As there's a couple corners that are worrisome to staff, it's just extra safety. And other than that, that's basically the report, and it's mainly recommended for increasing the road safety and giving us an accurate budget for a number moving forward for the second draft.
Any Claus?
Yeah, thanks, Reeve. Thanks for the report, Steve. Just a comment. How did White's maintenance come in at $1,600?
So White's maintenance in the report there kind of states, but all they placed in the tender was just on the markings. So that would be your stop bars, your lines, and
Okay.
rail markings.
All right. No, I agree with your recommendation. Very good. Thanks.
See no other questions. I do have a motion here. It was moved by Ian Straight, second by Claus Vandermeer, that the committee of the whole received the following report. 2022 line painting request for tender RFT, and that the following be recommended to council, that council directs staff to award tender 2022 2001, application of water-based paint to provincial pavement markings for $18,453.86, including non-recoverable HST, subject to final 2022 budget approval. All in favor? Carried. Steve, I just have a question about that. When we first started many years ago doing the painting, the line painting, at the time, we were told at the time that basically it only lasts for a year. But I'm wondering if the product has been upgraded since in the last few years, and what's the timeline now that line painting should last?
It's pretty well standards a year. Some places actually do it more than once a year in the larger municipalities. It went to a water-based paint numerous years ago, trying to obviously environmental impacts, and I think at that point the lifespan came down on it a bit, but it's about a year is obviously what is recommended.
Okay, thanks. Next one is yours also, Steve, on the limiting access to hydrants policy.
Thank you, Reeve. This report brought forward is looking for council to provide direction to place a bylaw on the next council agenda. One of the recommendations by the report, Miles Chief Greer spoke about, was that it is recommended to have a bylaw on this and restrict the access to our hydrants. Pretty straightforward procedure. Just looking for council consensus on this.
Okay, see no questions. I have a yes, Ian.
Yeah, thank you very much, Reeve. Stephen and Chief Greer, thank you very much for all your work on this kind of stuff. It's great to see how proactive you are. We just got the report from the ministry, and now you guys are already addressing all the recommended issues. So thanks a lot for staying on top of it and making sure we get it done in a timely fashion.
Okay. Thanks, Ian. Then this motion was moved by Claus Vandermeer and second by Jeff Carroll, that the committee of the whole receive the following report. The use of municipally owned fire hydrants bylaw, and that the following be recommended to council, that council adopts the draft bylaw limiting access to municipal owned fire hydrants, and that council directs staff to place the bylaw on the next available council agenda for final approval. All in favor? Carried. Thank you. Next one is, I guess, are you going to be giving this one, Andrew, on the planning services agreement?
Yes, thank you.
Okay.
So this report is on the planning services update, and it was just a report for information to council, just to continue to provide status of the process and update council and committee of the whole on the report that was done December 21st, 2021 in the committee of the whole, which is listed there to let us know that we have staff was going to send an agreement to the town of Smiths Falls for review in the item of planning services sharing, and that's being done, and then we're just waiting to hear back from them. So this report was just for information this evening.
Thanks, Ian.
Yeah, thank you again, Reeve. Mr. Hodge, I guess my question is if you could help me out, maybe you probably may not have the answer to this, but when we had the planning services coming from Smith Falls, so for Mr. Granke, was it based on a 50-50 model, or was it cost?
No. Yeah. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry, Ian. Go ahead, Andrew.
So it sounds like the question was Carl's Granke's agreement a 50-50, and that part is different. He was based on an hourly rate, and that he was an on-demand planning service. So the proposal that's now being done, as council had given direction before was to explore that 50-50 sharing. And now we're exploring that with the town, and we haven't totally agreed on that yet. It's basically looking at the agreement to see, get to a point where everyone may be in agreement to enter that agreement. And we're still in the process of looking for that planning person to fill that position. So right now it's ongoing.
Yeah, follow up. So essentially the contract that we have with Smith Falls was a cost plus. So it wasn't, we just didn't get charged the cost of actually the cost incurred to the town. We got charged the cost incurred plus a markup is guess is my question. But
the township had used a set rate.
Okay.
For that planning service per hour.
All right. Thank you very much.
Okay, then thanks for this. We have a motion moved by Jeff Carroll, second by Karen Jennings, that the committee of the whole receive the following report, the planning services update, and that the following be recommended to council, that we receive this report for information. All in favor? Thank you. The vaccination policy report is also yours, Andrew.
Yes, thank you. So this report is regarding COVID-19 vaccination policy, and the recommendation is the township vaccination policy remains status quo. The staff has confirmed with legal advice that it is extremely risky and ultimately unenforceable to undertake job action for specifically for unpaid leave as cited in the report against any employee using a voluntary-based policy as the basis for such action, particularly if that employee is following other COVID-related health and safety procedures. So because of that and the confirmation from the township solicitors, we recommend remaining with the status quo. And right now, the township policies and practices appear to be working well to prevent the spread of COVID in the workplace and the uptake of vaccinations. And the way that things have been proceeding so far leaves us that we don't anticipate operations being interrupted or impacted with the current policy.
Thank you, Andrew. See no question.
Oh.
Yeah, I just saw you. Thank you, Karen.
So I went back and listened to the two meetings where we did discuss this, and it was very clear that the intent was to be a mandatory policy. So it's a little disheartening to find out that in actual fact, what's written is not a mandatory policy when that was along the lines of the discussions that occurred. So in reading this, the recommendation is that we don't go to a mandatory, but all new hires still must be vaccinated. Is that not correct?
That is how the township is proceeding in hiring new staff, is that vaccination is part of that employment.
Mm-hmm.
And we've been consistently applying that. A new hire would need a vaccination.
Right.
By proof of vaccination.
Right. So when we vote on this, I'd like a recorded vote, please.
Any other questions? Claus?
Yes, thank you, Reeve. Andrew, do we have employees who are not totally vaccinated?
So no, we're on target to have our staff all vaccinated.
We are on target.
And we look at that for also in the policy where it says, I believe the word is eligibility. It talks about committee members as well and people who need to be vaccinated to do in-person items, which hasn't really come up yet because of we're still doing Zoom meetings and stuff, but it will come up in theory.
All our committee members are totally vaccinated and all our employees are.
Yeah, that's how the policy was designed to encourage that and to move us in that direction. So we don't have any Didn't have any
We have new-
interruptions.
If we have new hires, they have to be vaccinated. So we're good. Thanks, Andrew.
You're welcome.
Ian?
Yeah, thank you very much, Ruben. I think that Andrew actually kind of answered that when question with Deputy Reed's question, or what my question was, sorry. So yeah, because I guess we, at one point in time, we had to send in our vaccination, and we were asked to, were we not? Or even council was?
Yeah.
Yes, and the policy spoke to, I believe it mimicked or mirrored the provincial date of, I believe it was November 22nd, 2021.
All right, but what you're, I guess just for the policy piece, Andrew, if you don't mind, it's saying that if somebody isn't vaccinated, which we're lucky that everyone is, I guess, that we couldn't lay them off or anything else like that. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that was the question that I believe was asked in looking at the policy and how it was written.
Okay. Well, I guess we don't really have to worry about it.
Right.
Yeah, so I'm going to go back. I'm going to go back to you, Karen, because you did point out that you felt that there was a discrepancy, I guess I could say discrepancy in what we did and what you thought we did or what we didn't do. So can you explain what you mean by that? I just want to be clear and make sure that everybody is clear here, but before we do vote.
So we drafted a mandatory vaccination policy, but in actual fact, the words that got used make it a voluntarily vaccination policy.
Yeah, for me, I thought it was voluntarily. I thought it was voluntary, but it's. Are you saying that you thought that it was mandatory?
Yes, because when I went back and listened to the other agendas, YouTube's, it was also stated about, so staff will be vaccinated, as will, and that's where the answer was yes. So therefore it leads to the mandatory versus a voluntary. So
Doesn't matter.
it wasn't clear because the discussions would make you think it was a mandatory, because that was the way that it was explained and written to be thought to be mandatory. And that's why it was put where such an accommodation is not possible, the employee at the discretion of the clerk administrator will be placed on an unpaid leave. So that's where, I mean, you would not put anybody on an unpaid leave if they were not following the policy. So I don't know what else needs to be said, but anyway. All good.
And so when we're talking about employees, we're not talking about the fire department then, right?
No, we are.
Oh,
Everybody.
yeah, everybody.
Everybody,
So-
every employee, any person that goes to attend our facilities, like for example, the hall that's being used. We don't, for those that come in and quickly pay a tax bill, et cetera, but those that attend the Rosedale Hall currently that use that facility, you have to ensure that they are double vaxxed. We don't, but the renter of the hall has to. But if we ourselves, like when we did the Santa Claus, we had to ensure that the people that attended were double vaxxed, the ones that are mandated currently under the health regulations for open facilities.
But so back to you then, Andrew. Am I clear? Did you say that all our employees are double vaxxed?
Yeah, that's the requirement now, and that's what we would work towards. And
Well, no, but it's the requirement, and that's what we're working towards. But at the moment, I think that was what somebody else asked the question. At the moment, are all our employees double vaxxed?
right, and I discussed this prior to the meeting, and I believe there was a concern with a small staff and privacy that if somebody was just finishing up with that requirement, that that we wouldn't want to try to target percentages or numbers on that.
Yeah, I'm still not totally clear that whether every employee is vaccinated now or if they're in the process.
So can I ask a question?
Sure.
So is the intent to still remain with a voluntary vaccination policy and only new hires are mandatory is the question?
That's the recommendation of this report. And then the other alternative in the report was the line where it reads, you could decide to pass and enforce a mandatory vaccination policy. With the information going along with that is that to do that, a mandatory vaccination policy would contain much clearer language on the requirements and provide an enforceable framework, but this is still could incur risk to the township if challenged, as it's a relatively untested area of employment law. So that's the information for that decision, whether to remain the way it is or to consider moving forward with a more mandatory rewritten policy. At this time, I think, like other COVID things, that could be necessary to be updated or adapted in the future as things change. But I think at the moment we're probably quite safe and with the intention of making sure that new hires are vaccinated with proof of vaccination. And I think we've been consistently applying that already. So I think that would allow us to move forward.
Yes, Karen.
So my recommendation is that we create a fully mandatory policy so we get clearer language, because that is what we're expecting of our new hires. It was my understanding as well that that was the expectation. It's the expectation of anybody who sits on committees of council, et cetera, when we go to come back into the buildings. So I think that my recommendation would be that we create the better wording to make it a mandatory and move forward with that. So in our old policy, you had wording that said, shall have a first vaccination by a first date and a second vaccination by a second date, which was at that time following the health unit. So I think then that if council wants to move forward, they can also amend those dates to create time frame to allow current staff, if they're in the works, to meet the mandate of the requirement.
Okay, so then that's going to probably mean a different motion here than what we have. Pardon
Depends
me?
if everybody thinks the same way.
Exactly. So the thing is, I'm going to read this motion and then I'll go back to the other one, to a possible amended one. And this one was that the committee of the whole received this report, that's being the COVID-19 vaccination policy, and that the following be recommended to council, that the township vaccination policy remains status quo. So that's this one. And however, if you're wanting to put a different motion on the floor, amended motion, Karen, then we'll need a mover and seconder, and we'll have to vote on that one first and then come back to this one. I think that's the proper procedure, isn't it, Andrew?
Yeah, I believe so. Start with the one that's there and then look at changing it.
Start with the one that's here?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
I like deciding on the one that you've got in front of you.
Okay, so then this motion was moved by Karen Jennings and seconded by Ian Straight. The committee of the whole received this report, and that's the COVID-19 vaccination policy, and that the following be recommended to council, that the township vaccination policy remains status quo. And before we vote, Karen asked to have a recorded vote, but I'll go to you first, Ian.
Thank you very much, Reeve. Sorry. I guess my question and my biggest concern is that was there not a draft report done for this before with the dates of when everybody had to be vaccinated?
It's in this currently still.
So if that's what council previously passed and voted on and passed, why is the new draft so dramatically different? That's my question. So if council has voted and passed this, then how does the new draft get altered from what council authorized and voted on?
And the problem is, though, also, Ian, is, as it's been pointed out, it may not have been clear because, as Karen's pointing out, in her estimation, she believed that we were voting to mandate it, and others believe that when we voted, it was status quo.
So just on the
Yes.
wording, it said, for a 2-dose vaccination series, employees, council members, and committee members must receive 1 dose of COVID-19 vaccine by October 22nd, 2021, and the 2nd dose by November 22nd, 2021. The word must wasn't optional in my mind, which makes it mandatory. Therefore, that's why it's not clear, I guess, because it was interpreted differently by others. And therefore, that's why we are trying to sort this out.
Right. Yes, Andrew?
I guess what kind of the key thing of this is it has gone to the township legal, and the legal has found that the way it's written, it is unenforceable. So I think really what we're looking at, its key is just where we move forward from here. And I believe that the way it was written was, to my recollection, is what council probably would have voted on. We could go back and I guess and look at the minutes and whatnot, but and probably would show that. So, but in this evening, I think the key thing we want to look at is whether the policy stands as it is for the time being, or whether the township wants to kind of pioneer mandatory vaccination policies maybe ahead of other townships and provinces, which may be a bit of a task. It's maybe beyond our scope, but that's a decision from this report, I guess.
Okay, well, we've got this motion in front of us here, and Karen, do you still want a recorded vote on this?
Yes, please.
Okay, so I'll go to you, Christy.
Okay. Counselor Carroll,
I'm going to yay on this one.
Counselor Jennings,
Nay.
Counselor Straight,
Nay.
Deputy Reeve Vandermeer,
Yes.
And I'll
and
vote
Reeve
yes.
Dobson.
Yes. Okay, then that's carried. Thank you.
So then I have a follow-up question.
Yes.
So then we open back up and we go back in session. If somebody is not double vaccinated, that means they no longer are able to sit on our council, on our committee, etc., because they can't be there if they're not double vaxxed.
Okay.
Mhm.
Is my question. Because that's what this policy says, is that employees, council members, and committee members were to have their 2 doses. When we go back in session and the province states that you must have double vaccination to come into these locations, anybody that is not, that means then that they don't come into the facilities, correct?
I believe that was the intention of it and the expectation, yes. So that, I guess an example would be a committee member, that attends remotely at the moment would still be safe, but we'd have to revisit that if we start in-person meetings again. Yeah. That was to be fair.
And the other thing is, if we wanted to amend this policy, we could still do that anyways.
Yeah, if there were to come a time in the future, yeah,
Yes.
they may need to be adapted if COVID presents more rapidly changing things that affect us as it has before.
Okay, Thank you then. Yes, Karen, did you have anything else, Karen? Okay, thanks. Oh, you're muted. No, you're muted.
Yes, I was muting myself.
Okay, thanks. Okay, moving on then. The next report is on the RVCA Hydrogeological Review Services.
Thank you. Yes, so this one is a report for information to be received, and that's the recommendation of it. And currently the RVCA provides hydrological reviews on behalf of Lanark County and a number of area municipalities. And so we've now been informed that they've brought forward a proposal that they're planning on ceasing that service. We're also going to be having, I believe, our representative of the township from the RVCA, Vince Carroll, providing a summary later in the meeting about this. And so the information from this report is that staff have begun discussions with area municipalities regarding a joint RFP to engage local companies to provide this service as an alternative to the RVCA, which may no longer be doing that. I suppose during the update by Mr. Carroll, that might be a good time to be able to ask him questions about this as well, if he has more information than I may have at this time from the RVCA's perspective.
Okay, Ian?
Yeah, thank you, Reed. Andrew, I'm glad to see that. I'm very glad to see that you're working with the other municipalities to come up with a someone else to come and take care of all this stuff. I was just wondering when you're doing that, if it's possible or makes any sense to throw in the inspection of the septic systems and stuff like that as well. Maybe you could find someone that could do both hydrogeological stuff and the septic work as well, for maybe more work, maybe get a better rate.
Okay, yeah, I'll make note of that because those are definitely two big changes we've just become aware of. So we'll keep that in mind.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And just to be clear, it wasn't RVCA that was wanting to get out of the septic inspection process. It was the health unit.
Right.
And up until now, the health unit had been looking after 19 different municipalities. And some municipalities were being looked after in other ways. There's several options being talked about now, and I'm sure that still has to come back to us to have more discussion, because I know that some municipalities are now considering getting RVCA to do the septic systems inspection. So there's different options there. So it's kind of a two different issues there, Ian, and you're right. I think we should be looking at both ASAP. Okay, thank you. Then we have a motion here. It was moved by Ian Straight and seconded by Klaus Vandermeer that the committee of the whole receive the RVCA hydrological review report, and that the following be recommended to council, that council receive this report for information. All in favor? Thank you. And the next one is the annual water report by our chief. Miles, are you here with us still? Yep. Thanks, Miles.
So this is actually mandated from the province that every February I have to give you an annual report of how many samples was taken within our community. This has been done for many of years now. So again, just here for any questions, if you have any questions on it.
Okay, seeing none, I have a motion moved by Klaus Vandermeer, second by Jeff Carroll, that the committee of the whole receive the annual water report, and that the following be recommended to council, that council receive this report for information. All in favor? Karen? Oh, so all in favor, everybody? Yep. Carried, thank you. And now next we have our report of the committees. And we have Vince Carroll, our Montague rep on the RVCA, to give us an update. So welcome, Vince. And you have the floor, or you have the screen, I should say.
Good evening, Council. Thank you for letting me speak here pertaining to RVCA. So as Andrew had commented about the Hydro G issue, RVCA has withdrawn itself from looking after the Hydro G for Lanark County, as it was not a cost recovery program as they had thought it. So when they first took it on with the county, they didn't expect it to be as hard and can't think of a pretty word for it. It was more work than they had expected. So it was no cost to the applicant. The way it was paid for is it came out of the levy, out of the township levy. So I had asked Summer if that money has to be replaced because of the new costing for the levy that's coming here in the February meeting for the budget. And they are not going to try to recoup the money. Where the problem is going to come into is that, as Andrew had spoke there, Montague's speaking to potentially the county or other municipalities to hiring a engineering firm to oversee everybody's Hydro G process, is that it's going to be, the county's busy enough as it is right now and is falling behind of getting severance applications processed and whatnot. So Gene Richardson, that is a counselor with Tay Valley, had spoke to me to see if there would be any interest in Montague and Tay Valley getting together to potentially hire an engineering firm for, as Mr. Straight said, pertaining to both the Hydro G and the septic system program. Now, RVCA is approaching the county about doing the septic system program, and numbers haven't really been discussed, but they did say at the meeting on Thursday night that most likely RVCA would be about another $150 or $200 more expensive than the Lanark County Health was for doing the septic program. So anyways, the other aspect is that when RVCA is not going to leave anybody hanging until either municipalities acquire their own engineering firm, or if they take it over for the county or whatever. Where it is going to get to be very costly is once RVCA steps away from it, then this is going to be an additional cost that you're going to have to, you as the council are going to have to put on to your application program pertaining to severances. So it's kind of up in the air to know how much the incoming engineering firm is going to be costing. So right now, the ironic part of this Hydro G is it was based on the Walkerton episode back in 2000. Now, in 2010, I think it was, Hydro Gs were put into place in certain municipalities within Lanark County. And it was just this past May that the severancing board at the county was wanting all municipalities in Lanark County to have a Hydro G program. Now, the downfall of the Hydro G program is the costing is all over the place. Irregardless to what firm you hire, you could be paying as minimal as $5,200 plus tax, up as high as $15,000 plus tax. And really all they're doing is they're looking at the water reports that come out of the Ministry of Environment for how deep your well is, the type of water it is, what the production of that well is. The other aspect is they're looking at the dirt. So if somebody's building on bedrock, maybe they're 4 inches down to the dirt and whatnot. That dirt program, that dirt aspect can also be found through the Ministry of Agriculture. We already know what our dirt is. But anyways, what I'm getting at here is this Hydro-G has gotten to be very expensive. And a past councillor at the Christmas parade episode at Rosedale Hall inquired to why severances are so expensive now. So yes, this cost gets passed back on to the purchaser, but still there's a lot of money being laid out. There's also the rules are different. One company says you have to drill a well to be tested. Other information is if you have a pre-existing drilled well within 500 meters of where you want your severances to go, that is the allowed factor as well. So I would strongly suggest that when Andrew's getting prices and whatnot, to see if you can buddy up with a couple other municipalities and potentially hire a planning outfit that is going to work for the municipality and whatnot and charge by the hour, as some people's Hydro-G studies could be more expensive than somebody else's. Any questions from anybody?
Yes, Claus?
Thanks, Reeve, and
Yes.
thanks, Mr. Carroll, for the report. It's going to be interesting times, especially when we're looking, hoping for growth in the township, and there now we're going to add some more money onto this cost. If we pony up with Tay Valley and that, would there be enough work for one engineering firm, or should we pony up with more than one township?
That's truly something that Andrew would have to ask Tay Valley. I would speculate that there's going to be ample work. Where I'm concerned if we get in with the county, as I say, the county is having enough problems right now getting the applications sent through. Because of the fact that the price of land is worth gold right now, severance applications used to take any more than 6 months. Now they're stretching out to being 8 months to a year and whatnot. So my only reasoning of saying that we should maybe look at a couple other municipalities to pony up with is then the Hydro-G process of it will move along much smoother. The other aspect is the Hydro-G goes under the Severancing Act, and there's a time frame in there to when they have to be done by and whatnot. If the so if you get one company doing the Hydro-Gs for all of Lanark County, unless they have a lot of engineers on board to do just Hydro-G, you could be a little bit behind the 8 ball.
Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Vince.
So I just would like to say that I've said this at the county level, and I've also said it at the health unit level, and that is that whether it was the Hydro-G issue or the septic system issue that's now arisen, I hate to see either of them get too fragmented. I'd rather see them be specific, be more consistent. So I've suggested as many places as I can that when the clerk administrators / CEOs get together, that they try to come up with a solution that would be sustainable and acceptable for as many of us as possible. So Andrew, I guess this comment is more directed to you now, that when you meet the next time, if this can be put onto the table so that, because the way I'm afraid that each municipality is going to go off in different directions, and from one township to the next, it's all going to be different, and nothing is going to be consistent. And I think that it's we have to move on it reasonably quick, but I'd like to be able to think that we could be concurring with the other municipalities as soon as possible. And now back to the septic system issue that the health unit wants to and has to get out of. Their timeline was going to be September 2022, that they would like to be out of it. However, some of their staff whoever is going to take over septic systems, for instance, some of their staff would remain for, I believe it was going to be at least a year, sort of in a consulting capacity to be able to help whoever new is going to be doing this. But I do think that this is both of these are issues that should be looked at, across maybe all municipalities. It's just my opinion. So I'm going to go to you, Ian, please.
Yeah, thank you very much, Reeve. I'm sure that when Andrew converses with these other municipalities, have any of these other municipalities been in touch with you, Andrew?
So as you probably noticed, Jasmine wrote this report, and the discussions are preliminary and they're planned. So we haven't gotten far into those discussions yet. It's where we're headed. So, but it's funny because I would say the theme and the philosophy we're seeing across municipalities right now, though, is it's the same whether it's a chief building official or whether it's a planner or whether it's these other engineering services for hydro Gs, that there's those opportunities there to share and sort of see the economies of scale and the value there. So
exactly.
So as we're moving forward on this, we're going to be looking for whatever advantages we can come up with by talking to the other municipalities in the county.
Yeah, exactly. And so I'm sure that when after you've had further conversations with other municipalities within the township, within the county, sorry, you guys will come up with some kind of a plan. And as you said, economies of scale will greatly hopefully play into the costing factor, which then could be added to our planning check sheet or task list, so that residents are aware of what has to be done and any of the implications.
That's right.
All right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
So,
Mr. Carroll, as well, for the report.
Yeah, that's what I was just about to say. So, Vince, do you have anything else to add then?
Not a whole lot, except you're going to have a lot of residents, potential residents that are going to be putting in applications for severances. And I think the staff is going to have to make them aware that they're going to have an additional fee on their application. And unfortunately, it's an unknown fee until once you get the engineering firm put into place and whatnot. As I say, RVCA will continue to do their the hydro Gs through until the county or / each municipality comes up with their own engineering firm to oversee the hydro Gs. But after that time, as I say, right now it's been taken off the levy. After that time, it's going to be an additional fee, and people are going to be, it's due to the fact that hydro G is all over the place price-wise. It's all over the place as far as what the scope of information that the county wants. It's going to be expensive. That's all.
Thank you. And I also was going to say that it kind of reminded me of this, that when the septic system part came to us from the health unit, we were certainly told that it was the hope and the probability that the cost would be, if RVCA was to take it over, for instance, that they felt that the cost would be very similar to what it has been with the health unit. But what you're reporting, Vince, is that it might possibly be what you said, $150 or $200 more. So there's a bit of a discrepancy there too. So
yes, at the meeting on Thursday night, it was this past Thursday night, it was talked about. So as Summer said, it was ironic that they want out of the Hydro G because it's just too much of a workload for the engineers that they have. But they feel that the septic system business is more in their scope of knowledge and information, and the fact that the additional cost is going to be, as I say, between $150 and $200 more than what the health unit was.
Yeah, that's certainly not the information that I got coming from the health unit, but I mean, those discussions are ongoing also.
Yeah.
Thank you. Ian, please.
Yeah, I kind of go to what's going on right now, and that's part of the reason why I asked for the motion to be brought forward to have a review of what the planning process and the severance process is within the township. You know, I'm getting residents calling me right now that are well over a year into their severance, trying to get a severance within the township, and you can't get one. And then we keep on, you know, now they're having all these Hydro G studies, and you know, people are paying 5, 10, 15, upwards of thousands of dollars, depending on how many lots they have done. And some people are even being told that they need to have upwards of 2.5 acres to get a severance. So I'm just trying to figure out where all this comes from. So it's going to be great to have some clarity to this, I think, in the very near future.
Yeah, thanks. Okay, thank you then for this report, Vince. I
Okay.
do have a motion. I have a motion here with, yeah, I have a motion here was used and moved by Jeff Carroll and seconded by Karen Jennings, that the committee of the whole received the following report. That's the RVCA report, and that the following be recommended to council, that council receive this verbal report for information. All in favor? Okay. Okay, thanks, Vince. Then we have no petitions tonight, no motions or notices of motions, no unfinished business. And before we adjourn, do we have any questions from the public?
Let me just double check. I have no questions here on my end.
Okay, thank you then. I do have a motion. It was moved by Karen Jennings, seconded by Ian Straight. That the committee of the whole meeting do now adjourn at 8:53 p.m. All in favor? Okay, that's carried. So thank you, everyone. Thank you, all the staff and council. Good meeting, lots of questions. So good night, everybody, and we'll adjourn. Oh, sorry. I'm really jumping here. You didn't have to say it, Karen. I saw your face. Okay, so I'm going to go back to our other meeting, our council meeting, and I do have a motion. It was moved by Karen Jennings and seconded by Ian Straight, that the council reconvene at 8:54 p.m. All in favor? And that's carried. And next, we have a motion. It was moved by Ian Straight and seconded by Klaus Vandermeer, that this council moves into closed session as per S 239 of the Municipal Act, S 0/2001, C25, in order to address two issues, two items. Item 1, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. More specifically, consideration of individuals to assist council for the clerk administrative hiring process. And item 2, personal matters about an identifiable individual, including municipal or local board employees. More specifically, consideration of committee appointments, and that the following staff remain in the room, that being our administrative assistant, Christy Warwick, and that's That's it. So Christy, you're the only one that's going to be in the room?
Yes.
Okay, all in favor?